Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to show you how I set up a canoe for fishing with a side-mounted trolling motor, and I'm going to show you how I do it. In my other videos I've showed you how I set up my kayak, and I think I've had one video so far using the aluminum John boat, but this time I'm going to show you the canoe. So here it is. This is the canoe that I use. It's an old Lowe's brand canoe. Lowe's still makes boats today. I don't think they make canoes anymore, but it's a pretty solid canoe. My dad actually bought this brand new back in 1983, so it's been around for a long time. And check out that nice little graphic there, brown, orange, and yellow. That's pretty fancy. And yeah, we've had this for a long time. I remember when I was a kid, my parents and sister and I, we would all get in this thing and paddle around the lake, and still using it today. But I'm going to show you how I set it up for fishing. I don't use this all the time. There's probably a few more things I could do to it, but for now I'll show you what I do. First of all, this is a setup if you're going to be going out by yourself. Typically that's the back seat and that's the front or the bow seat. Usually if you're going solo in a canoe, usually you want to sit in the front seat facing toward the back, because it puts you closer to the center and makes it more balanced that way. That trolling motor right there, it's a 24-pound thrust trolling motor by Maine. The thing is about 21 years old now and still works. It's a good brand, and it pushes this along pretty well. And this little bracket here, all it is a couple of 2x6s, and there's just a little piece here for just some extra support, and I use C-clamps to hold it down. And you might not think that would do a good enough job, but it actually does. I've never had it move at all on me before, so I always thought having it hanging off the side would throw off its balance, but it really doesn't. And right in the back here I have a battery. I kind of put it a little bit off center just to counter that a little bit. And then up in the front I just happen to have another battery, and I just put that up in the front to help weigh it down. And plus, if something happens to my other battery, like it goes dead, I have a second one. On the motor mount I have an old this old fishing rod holder. It just clamps on. Now this is an old one. It's been around at the camp since I was a kid, and the thing's solid. That's why I like it. They make ones like this. I have a couple like newer ones like this that they're flimsy. You can literally bend them in your hand, and that thing's solid. So that's why I like it. And sometimes I'll just troll a lure behind me. I mean, you could always add on some rod holders in the back too. I usually just set them here off to the side, and I got this net here. I try to keep it out of the way as best as I can, and I usually bring a lantern with me just for when it gets dark, so I can be seen and so I can see stuff. This year I've been paddling with a kayak paddle, and it's a big difference. I think it's a lot easier to paddle it. And this, I mean, even though it's a 15-foot, it's still pretty narrow and light. So, I mean, this works really well. Yeah, I have another video I haven't put up yet where I just used a paddle one morning to go fishing. I didn't have the trolling motor set up. It was actually a shorter paddle. This is a 250 centimeter, and I think I was using a 230. You wouldn't think the 20 centimeters make a difference, but it does. And the thing I like about this one, it's got a tape measure built right into it too. So that's pretty handy. Got a cheap old cup holder here. I just screwed into the board. I think I'm going to head out and see if I can catch some fish. I see a couple of my favorite spots are occupied at the moment, but that's okay. I always encourage people to, if they're paddling or trolling, to always just throw a lure out behind you. You can catch a lot of fish trolling, and I'll show you a couple of lures that I use when I troll. I use this good old Rapala floating minnow, F9 size, because this lake is fairly shallow. I mean, this only goes about 2 feet deep or so when you're trolling it. Caught a lot of fish on that lure. I've got a few of those actually. And then sometimes I use a Rapala Dives 2. It's a DT4, so it goes down to about 4 feet. Depending on, I mean, if it's earlier in the year, you can go deeper than that. But if you, like this time of year, even if you're out in deeper water, you still will catch a lot of weeds. When you're trolling, you get your lure out there, usually your rod tip will bounce with the action of the lure, and that's so you know everything's good with the lure, nothing wrong with it. If you see it stop bouncing, usually that means you've hooked weeds or something and it's messing up the action of the lure, and most likely you're not going to catch anything. And then obviously if you hear your line screaming out, it means you got a fish on or you're stuck. And usually I turn my drag way down so I can pull the line real easily off. That way if your drag's too tight, you might break your line or break your rod or lose your lure, or all of them. But you can catch a lot of fish trolling. And there's spots in this lake, or any lake for that matter, where I never would have thought to fish these certain spots, and then I troll through them and I catch fish, and then I find out they're actually a really good spot. So just for the fun of it, I brought my GPS with me because it shows speed, and I'm just interested to see how fast it goes with the trolling motor. So I'm going to crank it up. That's a little dry. Might have to go back and squirt some stuff on that. As you can see, we're going a whopping 3 miles an hour, 3.3 miles an hour. You're not going to win any races with this, but you'll be catching fish. Oh, it's really going to open up now. Ready? 3.2, 3.3. Oh, 3.4. Here we go. So I'm gonna go squirt some stuff on this annoying squeaking trolling motor. See if I can catch something. Wow, that's annoying. Would I like to switch to pedestrian usage mode? No. So the reason why I do these videos is just to show people the how fun it is to go fishing, being outdoors, and just to show you that you don't need to spend a ton of money to get out on the water. And you know, you can get a used canoe pretty cheap on Craigslist or Uncle Henry's, and you know, a trolling motor, a new one, starts at about $100, and I think the smallest they make is a 30-pound. This is a 24-pound. I don't think they even make them that small anymore, but yeah, so you don't need a whole lot. So I'm gonna try some fishing, and I've done some videos that I haven't posted yet using this old topwater lure, which I've had since I was a kid. I have no idea what brand it is, and if someone knows, I'd like to know. Maybe I can find some more, because I'd hate to lose it. But it's been working really well. So let's see if we can get something. Topwater fishing's a lot of fun. Oh, right there. There's one. Just a little guy. He's pretty active though. I think there's a log right there. I think he was trying to go underneath it. As you can see, that one, I just let it sit. I didn't even pop it. The old pliers out. There. Not a very big one. Well, he's 11 inches anyway. There he goes. Moved over a little bit. Mostly just to get out of the direct sunlight. It was a hot day today in the 90s. And I think I'm just about finished with that sun. Oh, got one on. Ooh, that's a nice one. But ready to pull it back in too. Oh, he's getting away. Here we go. Ooh. I think he's about ready to come off. Let's see it. That's a good one right there. Oh, 16 inch. Yeah, that was a nice one. The old top water comes through again. Ooh, got one right there. Ooh, oh man, that was a really nice smallmouth too. Oh. It was about as big as the other one I caught, except it was a smallmouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to troll over to that shoreline, right through this little area here. So I'm going to troll this Dives 2.4 Rapala crankbait, just to show you what it's about, and we'll see if it catches something. Turn the drag down a little bit. Cast it out. Set it in the rod holder. I don't know if the rod tip shows up on camera, but it's bouncing all around. It means the lure is working the way it's supposed to. And if you see it bend a little bit like that, usually it means it's hitting bottom. It is actually pretty shallow right there. It's not bouncing around anymore, so I bet you it snagged a weed. A little bit right there. And that can throw off your action a little bit. So it tells me that's running a little too deep over here. I'm going to swap it over to that one, because that usually only goes down a couple feet. This one doesn't have quite the action the other one did, but your rod tip will still bounce a little bit. Sounds like there's a blue jay party going on out in the woods over there. Well, didn't catch anything trolling. But you're not going to catch anything unless you try. I just got one on the top water. I have a feeling it's a pickerel, but I guess we'll see the way it went after it. Yep, right. No, it's a bass. It hit it like a pickerel though. Ooh. This is a pretty good one actually. I better get the net. Oh. He's in some shallow water too. Oh, I dropped it. Well, it's alright. It was a pretty good size. See a water snake out there. There it is. Let's see how big it is. Ooh. Wow. Right at the last second. Here we go. Check that thing out. Oh, 17. Wow. Not bad. Oh, 13. Well, I'm going to do a few casts here before I finish up. There's one. A good fight. Oh, he's actually pretty decent size. I won't rob this one. There we go. Oh, 16. Holy. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. That's how I set up my canoe for fishing, and as you can see, it works pretty well. You don't need to spend a lot of money to get out in the water, and caught a lot of nice fish too, so that's always a plus. Until next time, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.